We have a critical move that's happening right now. It is on a shorter time frame, it is a smaller pattern, but it could still make a very big impact on the markets. Now, it is Sunday morning here, Pacific Standard Time, and Sundays are not sleepy days here because one, the weekly candle closes about 5 o'clock here, Pacific Standard Time. That means I'm expecting some Monday or pre-Monday price action that could come in late Sunday afternoon, especially because the stock market S&P 500 futures open about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock ish. I don't know the exact timing for Pacific Standard Time. That also is very important for the stock market for the crypto markets, because it could be a front running signal for the crypto markets. They have high correlation. Now, I want to get to you guys about this pattern here. It is a pattern I've been talking about. You guys will see a rising wedge pattern here on this daily time frame. You guys will also see a very similar pattern with Toto 3, which is the altcoin chart excluding Ethereum, and that has a lot of significance on the altcoin markets, obviously. We're also going to be talking about a few pieces of major economics and crypto news that could affect the markets, as well as a few altcoin setups, which would include Beamx. A lot of viewers have been requesting updates on Beamx, Aethir, which is ATH, as well as Grass. See what's happening in these coins since the last time I covered them. I'll give you guys my opinions, what I think their trading patterns are, what my chart says. So we're gonna get into that later in this video. I highly don't recommend that you guys skip through because I would never trade altcoins without a clear understanding of Bitcoin. First of all, let's talk about the news and then we're gonna get into the charts. Let's go ahead and go to the first piece of news here, which is by Crypto Potato. BNB smashes past $1,000 to new all-time highs as Bitcoin slips further from 116K weekend watch. Now, I haven't really been following BNB. I am not long in BNB right now, but I am bullish on the entire crypto market because if Bitcoin has more room to pump, so will the altcoins, as I would have seen back in 2021. Great for BNB because I think that is a pretty good indicator that this altcoin season is still well and alive. And I don't even think we have gotten to the best parts of this altcoin season yet. If you guys want to see BNB, you guys can put it in the comment section below. If enough of you guys want to see it, I will give you guys an update on BNB and I will chart it for you guys. Next piece here is by Crypto Potato as well, and this says the October effect, why analysts are bullish on Bitcoin's price in October. I am bullish, of course. I am long on Bitcoin. I am long on quite a bit of the altcoins here, so my opinions on this market is bullish right now. And of course, these are just my opinions, and like the entirety of this video, it's not financial advice. You gotta form your own opinions. But I think there's a few very key bullish points I want to make on why I think this crypto market is still very bullish. For one, it's because the Fed has actually just started its rate cut cycle. This is the first time it got a rate cut this month, this year. And we're expected to get two more rate cuts this year, according to the CME Watch tool. Okay, let's just go ahead and go to the CME Watch tool here. Okay, I don't think much of the probabilities have really changed. Let's just do a refresh here. We're still seeing a over 90% of an ease here for October. For December, we have a 99% chance of a ease here. So we're still expecting two more rate cuts, which is gonna be very good for the markets. All right, and of course, the monthly RSI for Bitcoin still nowhere near 2021, 2017 monthly RSI readings. Does it have to play exactly like that? No, but I mean, is there anything else telling me otherwise? Also, no. All right, coin. This is by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin will accelerate as world heads into the fourth turning. Says analysts. Okay, I think the fourth turning is. Well, I mean, a lot of economists, make reference to the fourth turning. I haven't really dove into the book or the references. I think it's very interesting, but I think the fourth turning is. Let's just talk. Let's just highlight some text here, which describes the cyclical rise and fall of nations. Right. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if you guys have any more insights on that. You guys can put it in the comment section below. I'm not gonna comment too much, but I do think it is very interesting. Okay, and I think this is a bullish headline for Bitcoin because I think as there's more inflation, I think that's key. Uh, Asset prices are going to go up, including Bitcoin, including altcoins. And Bitcoin is still the driver of this market. This is why you got to be paying attention to Bitcoin. Next piece here is by Litecoin. I mean, Big News BTC, which says Litecoin price compresses in tightening falling wedge. Breakout ahead. I think I've talked about Litecoin recently. Let's just go and visit this Litecoin chart real quick. I am long on Litecoin, okay? And I am looking to take a profit from my Litecoin position because I am leverage long on Litecoin. Now, I did talk about a huge falling wedge here that is validated on the monthly time frame. Okay. And it is Litecoin is still trying to break out of this falling wedge pattern here. And if we actually zoom in, right, daily time frame, I talked about this falling wedge here, and it has actually broken out, right? The breakout target here would be about almost $129. Let's see if Litecoin can get can reach that price target before heading to the bigger price target here, which would be about $180 almost. Okay, so that's basically what I'm seeing for Litecoin. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. Next piece here. Next one is by Crypto Potato. Fed cut wipes out leverage as Bitcoin supply ratio drops. Now, I read a little bit into this piece here. I think the supply ratio that it's referring to is the amount of supply on the exchanges, which is good because if there's more supply on the exchanges, at least according to this analyst, and I think a lot of it makes sense, is that if there's more supply on the exchanges, that's probably indicative of people wanting to sell their Bitcoin. But as supply decreases, as what this headline suggests, then I would expect the price to go up if the demand comes, right? Because there's less supply on the market or on exchanges. Let's just read some of these key points here. Bitcoin's exchange supply ratio fell to 0.029, showing fewer coins available for trading on Binance. Perpetual open interest dropped. I'm not really sure what this means, okay, because I haven't really studied this, right? And the analysts track 116.7K and 113K as key levels as Bitcoin consolidates near yearly all-time highs. Yes, we are still above previous all-time highs, if you guys remember. So this is why 115K, I mean, it seems like very boring price action, but it's basically above the previous all-time highs that we have made last year. That 110K resistance was significant, and we're still very much on top of it, okay? So just because Bitcoin is boring right now doesn't mean that I mean, it doesn't mean that I'm bearish or that's just me, okay? So I still think this thing is still looking very bullish right now. Let's go ahead and go to the charts, okay? Bitcoin daily time frame. Daily time frame, we are still in a huge rising wedge. I'm gonna move this measure move or measure targets along the bottom trend line here because we haven't made a move yet and it still looks like it could take more time for a possible move. So, rising wedges are bearish patterns that usually break down, okay? Now, if this thing breaks down, that's going to be catastrophic for the altcoins, for Bitcoin, of course. And I'm looking at a price target now that is going to be just right underneath 80,000. There are some mixed signals, including that the stock market has broken out of its rising wedge pattern. Could that be a front-running signal for Bitcoin? Because Bitcoin right now, it looks like it's lagging behind. Another signal here is that on the daily time frame, Bitcoin broke out of a few smaller bullish patterns, including a falling wedge pattern with the price target of about 121 point, almost 122k. Okay, now price targets are estimates only. There could be more, there could be less. Okay, if it's an altcoin, if we're talking about an altcoin, I think it's a lot. It's gonna depend. It's gonna depend a lot on Bitcoin. However, if we're talking about Bitcoin, I think it's going to depend a lot on what type of market we're in, and I think we're still in a bull market. Now, let's just say if this thing does break down, I mean, yeah, the price target is going to be pretty steep, right? But there's quite a bit of moving averages that could be acting as support for Bitcoin, including your daily 200 SMA, right? But first of all, if this thing breaks down from the smaller falling wedge pattern that's within the bigger rising wedge pattern within a rising wedge pattern, I'm talking about this one right here. The daily 50 SMA is going to be about 114.5k. Daily 21 SMA coming up pretty quickly at about almost 114k. So those are going to be the next key levels I'm looking at as the next supports and see if they hold. Come over here to the total 3 chart. Total 3 chart looking very similar like the Bitcoin charts. 12-hour time frame. I talked about this rising wedge pattern as well. It's breaking down right now. So let's adjust the measure move to this breakdown point. Measure move would be about 1.08 trillion. Okay, quite a bit of support underneath the price action. Let's see if total 3, which is altcoin market excluding Ethereum, would drop all the way to its price targets. Could this be a fake out as well? Something to be looking out for, right? And we have the daily 21 SMA. That's currently about 1.09 trillion. Okay, that's going to be coming up pretty soon as well. We have the 6-hour 50 SMA. That could be support. That's going to be about 1.12 trillion. Something to be looking out for as supports for this breakdown. Let's go ahead and take a look into altcoins now. We're going to be taking a look into Aethir first. See what's happening with this market since the last time I covered it. Aethir. ATH. I talked about a falling wedge pattern that's probably more validated on probably the daily time frame. But I'm just going to zoom out here real quick. Alright, there was a falling wedge pattern. Price target for this breakout would be about 13 cents, above 13 cents. Let's see if it gets there, right? It is very close to that upper trend line. Let's see what it does. Let's take a look into, also I want to reiterate this double bottom pattern that's within this falling wedge pattern. That's very important as well because the price target for that one would be about 9 cents. It looks like Aethir has actually broken on top of that resistance at about, I'm just going to say about, it's about 5.75 cents resistance. Okay, it is above that right now. It's take a look into the daily time frame, see if I can get a little bit more clarity. Probably more on a 4-hour time frame. I talked about a falling wedge pattern here last time. Price target has been met. There's another falling wedge pattern here. Let's just say if it breaks out by this point here, price target would be about almost 6.5 cents. Let's see if Aethir can break out of this bigger falling wedge pattern here with this swing. Let's go ahead and go to grass, see what's happening with grass. Weekly time frame. Falling wedge pattern, you should definitely know your falling wedges. Very simple, very effective. Much lower risk entries versus chasing a pump. Alright, grass coin here, which is an AI coin. Falling wedge pattern. Again, price target above $4 if it breaks out by this point, for example. Price targets are estimates again, and they very much depend on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin starts dumping these falling wedges, they're not going to matter very much. I mean, these patterns, especially on a shorter time frame. Now, let's just say, also got to mind the downside risk, right? Because even though falling wedges have a higher chance of breaking to the upside, they also have a smaller chance of breaking to the downside. Nothing in this market is 100%. It's all a probabilities game. Let's take a look into the daily time frame. Grass broke out of this smaller falling wedge pattern here, right? Price target for this breakout would be about just right above $1.05 based on this breakout point. Actually, based on this breakout point. Okay, that would be about $1.05 almost. Let's take a look into the 4-hour time frame. What's grass doing? 4-hour time frame, very important for grass to break out of this upward trend line. Otherwise, it's probably going to form some type of a rising wedge, right? And that is a bearish pattern. There's already quite a bit of divergence, bearish divergence on this 4-hour time frame, indicative of a pullback. So this could likely form a rising wedge pattern, and some short-term pullback could be expected if this rising wedge pattern fully forms, right? Let's go ahead and go to Beamx, see what's happening with this coin here. Beamx. I talked about a possible cup and handle pattern here. If Beamx can come up here to about 1.3 cents, I'm just going to be rounded number here. Just talk about rounded numbers here. If it could come up here to retest 1.3 cents 2 more times on this weekly time frame, because there are still rounded bottoms here, and rounded bottoms usually turn into cup and handles, right? Let's take a look into a smaller. Let's not move on yet. Okay, weekly time frame. Okay, still now within this possible cup and handle scenario at about that 1.3 cents level, there is a more possible cup and handle scenario at the resistance of 1 cent, right? It's very small, but you guys can see it. There's still rounded bottom here, and this resistance has rejected the previous pump here at almost 1 cent. I'm just going to say 1 cent. It doesn't have to be exact, right? And this is a much more likely scenario of a cup and handle developing, because we've already retested this 1 cent resistance about twice. So it just has to retest it one more time to complete that cup and handle pattern. So it's not completely developed yet, but if it comes up to about 1 cent to retest this one more time, cup and handle, right? And if that cup and handle forms, I'm looking at a price target of 1.6 cents price target. So that's basically what I'm seeing for Beamx. You guys can see that the last time I mentioned the pattern here, it did play out. Now, this wraps it up for this video. Let me know if you guys want to see any more of these coins by dropping a like, comment, subscribe, or any other coins in this market. I'll pick a request to do for you guys on a daily basis. See you on the next one.